Collective, welcome. I'm Nikki, your local vegan terrorist. We're going to do a movie love reading. I did do another one. I haven't uploaded it yet, so I don't know which one of these will upload first. It depends on the time length of the video. But I have to connect with some Wi-Fi because these longer form videos just take a lot of time and resources when you're running on data and you're charging your phone in your van. So, let's get started. Today's movie that we're going to break down as far as the Twinflame soulmate Hollywood version of things is P.S. I Love You. Now, for those of you who have not seen it, you may want to go watch it or rewatch it because I'm going to spoil it. And then for those of you who have seen it, I may say some things that you don't agree with because I'm going to break it down. P.S. I Love You. It was released in 2007. It is a romantic dramedy, a rom-dram, if you will, where there's a character named Holly and her husband, Jerry. Jerry passes away at the beginning of the film, and then on her 30th birthday, he orchestrates it, and we don't know how until the end, that she's receiving these letters that always end with P.S. I Love You, right? If you've ever watched Cinema Sins, this is where you would say roll credits, right? And so, their relationship was kind of very fiery and volatile and all of these things. Not, outright toxic or abusive, but there was bickering, there was emotional withholding, there were miscommunications, and so she's kind of coming into her own, and so these letters really facilitate her own growth because she's stunting herself and essentially blaming him through their marriage for her stunted growth and for this sort of lost life she imagined for herself. All right. So I'll give you the main characters that we're going to talk about, and that may come up in the reading, and that may be confirmation for you. Hilary Swank, main character. She plays Holly. All right. So there's a common theme with the names here because it's Hilary and Holly. Her birthday is July 30th. Okay. So she is actually my late biological father's birthday twin. So that's a Leo, obviously. And Pisces could be an influence here as well. All right. Gerard Butler. All right. His name is Jerry. So common theme with his real name and his character's name. He's November 13th. All right. Scorpio. All right. And then we'll come to the other ones as we go, but there are kind of two other male figures in her life, romantic-ish, that, we kind of come into what roles they play as the movie progresses. And then she has her best friends, all right? Now, her best friends are Lisa Kudrow, which is named Denise in the film, and her birthday is also July 30th. So there is the theme here with Leos, and maybe you have a best friend, or maybe your person is your birthday twin. And then her other friend, played by Gina Gershon, her name is Sharon. Sharon, right? And she's June 10th, so Gemini, all right? So that is the lovers. So we have the lovers, we have strength, the sun, and then we also have the tower and death with Scorpio. And then her mother, Kathy Bates, is named Patricia, and I'll refer to them as their character names, but I'm telling you who's playing them. And then her birthday is June 28th, okay? So Cancer. Now, these are like also the cusp. You may be a cusper, your person may be a cusper, but there's something about, when you think Leo, you think August, right? When you think Cancer, you think July, but they're at the end. They're like, some of these females actually yeah, all of these females so far are, except Gina Gershon, most of the females then are at the end of the month. So they're kind of like just breaking into the next zodiac sign. All right, so there's something that could be an element here. That could be some sort of confirmation for somebody. So it's not much of a spoiler to say that Jerry's character dies in the beginning, right? Because that's kind of the whole theme of the movie. Now, when I first watched it, I hadn't seen the trailer. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew the two main characters that played in it, and I loved Hilary Swank and I loved Gerard Butler. So I was for it. And so I was shocked. I was like, he dies? What? And my mom was like, and there is something interesting about the mom. I have been doing story time, so I'll just kind of integrate the story time into this. Now, my mother is an Aries, and because my biological father's birthday twin, because I was not raised by my biological father, I actually never met him, because his birthday twins are like two of the main characters. So there is some sort of parental dynamic here that is important. Now, the reason I chose this film is not because I just recently watched it, but I was listening to the soundtrack, and there's a song by, oh goodness, it starts with a C. Oh, I had it. Anyway, he sings No Other Love. Okay, so you can go look up No Other Love from P.S. I Love You, and that artist, maybe his birthday. I looked up his birthday, looked up his name, and I'm completely gapping it right now. But anyway, I was listening to No Other Love, and it's Mama, I'm Flying. And so there is something with the mother. Now, my van is named Aries because this seed was planted in my little probably 6-year-old mind, where my mother wanted to do this. She wanted to travel around in a van, like a VW bus van back in the day. And she did not. It was like a dream that she never fulfilled. So as part of my maternal wound healing, I am doing this in part for her, because this is something that she never got to do. So my van's name is Aries. So I was listening to this Mama, I'm Flying, like almost like look at me, Mom, which also reminds me of Passion of the Christ. So there could be some religious factors here. And your relationship with Christ, or what Christ consciousness means to you, what religion means to you, what spirituality, the divine means to you, what you call it could be different from how you were raised, right? And now the Native American zodiac for Aries is the falcon/hawk, right? So they have been a major theme for me. Like, I've removed my window covers, there's been a hawk like right in front of me. I've been asking and reaching out for signs. Birds have always been a big sign for me. Animals in general, nature has always been a big sign for me, which is why I do relate to Native American zodiac signs and animal totems, because they're very important, and they have been, and that's a whole other story. But as I'm listening to this song and in this mood of like, yes, I am doing this, and this is very healing, a huge, huge hawk with a snake in its mouth flies very slowly, just kind of casually. Didn't like swoop, it just right in front of me, probably 20 feet away from my windshield as I'm driving. Now, the snake is Scorpio. It's a Native American zodiac for Scorpio. It's also about cycles. We just passed the year of the snake last year, which is when I sold my house and packed it up into a van and started this journey. Now, I'm never like surprised by these things. They just make me laugh, because I'm like, of course, a giant hawk with a snake in its mouth would fly in front of me as I'm like reaching out and connecting with my maternal truth. All right, because if you have grown up with any kind of wounding as a cycle breaker, there is a false narrative that's put in place, And those are the blockages that we as cycle breakers are here to transmute. And that's what I'm doing here. So there's something with the mother, and Kathy Bates, Patricia, is a key character, not just as the mother, but she does not really agree with their connection. And big spoiler, she is the one who actually has helped him orchestrate getting her daughter these letters. And she was reluctant, she was resistant to it, but she also, there are misconceptions about her relationship with Holly's father. She never sees her mom laugh. She sees her mom as this very cold, kind of ice queen, very withholding. And there is a somewhat recent interview with Kathy Bates where when she received her Academy Award, she did not thank her mother. In her mind, that's the false narrative. She did not thank her mother. And her mother, and there was just 11 on the clock there. So, that was a cycle for her. All right. And that this narrative that she didn't do enough for her mother, and her mother is gone now, I believe, like her mother has passed on. So there's no way to really heal that. Or there is, but in her mind, it's like, that's done. She didn't do enough for her mother. She didn't thank her mother. And her mother said this to her. That's just not something she made up. Her mother told her, you never thanked me, or whatever. So this is this narrative. And the interviewer plays back the clip of her receiving her Academy Award. And she does say, I want to thank my mom. And for her, it's like, thank you. She says thank you to the interviewer. Like, we have access to all this information. She could have Googled it. Like, I'm sure it's out on YouTube. This acceptance speech is everywhere. I mean, it is now. But I'm sure she could have found it and confirmed it. And so you could have been raised by some sort of parent who, instilled this false narrative in you that's been blocking you from moving forward, particularly in your love life, right? Now, so there's a lot of maternal wound healing here, all right, from a probably cold, withholding mother. But yeah, Kathy Bates, it's very healing for her too, because she goes, there's one point where she says, I never saw you laugh. And when she's describing the nature of her relationship with Holly's father, she said, he made me laugh. And she goes, I don't remember that. And she goes, well, that's a shame, because I laughed, She never got to see this side of her mother. She never got to see a truth in her mother that blocked her from being so, like, she was so rigid. Holly's character was so rigid, and she was always like fussing, and it was never enough, and she was a perfectionist, and it was like she never cut loose. And Jerry, of course, why she's attracted to him and why he loves her, and why he does this for her in his like final wish is to help her alleviate the burdens of that rigidity and to open up her heart and to really express and live her truth. Because when he first met her, she was this like just getting into college, going on a tour, a little like backpacking tour or art tour of Ireland, and that's how she meets him. And so he's in one of his letters, he says, you have all these colors on you, and she had all this expression, and she had this like hopeful, childish like curiosity, and then all of that got snuffed out with like, we need to make enough money, we live in this apartment, and we can't have kids, and blah. So it's like their last interaction is a fight. Like, they're always fighting. Now, what I don't like about this being described as like they're the twin flame or they're the soulmates or whatever is because, and I think particularly for, men or women, you can probably relate to the fact that you see people around you all the time that are beautiful, like willing, there's like a willingness to love, and they always seem to be with people who don't understand that, who don't appreciate that. And you're like, well, if they were with me, we would appreciate each other, and we would be twin flames, and we would be soulmates, and we would do so much. And it's like, but a lot of time the cycles that we're put into to break, to heal, to upend and transform and transmute are a result of catalytic connections like that. All right. So he actually catalyzed this growth for her so that she could come to love him, love herself. And when I say him, I mean her actual twin flame. So if we're looking at this as like a twin flame journey, I don't feel like Holly and Jerry were twin flames. I feel like they were karmic, okay? And not, karmic's not negative. Karmic is like our cycles, all right? With the hawk carrying the snake. Snakes are a cycle, and this hawk is like, we're done with that. So it's like Aries being the fool and the emperor, all right? Also shared with Capricorn with the emperor, and Aquarius with this, with not with the star. Aquarius is the star, but with the fool. So these signs could all be, these names, these patterns could be some sort of confirmation for you. Excuse me. And so there's this very important healing thing with the parents, because she doesn't really know her dad or see her dad. Like, I think her dad is kind of somehow exempt. We don't ever see or really hear about him until the end, when the mom talks about how they laugh together. And so Holly has this false idea, this false narrative about what relationships are supposed to look like. Now, in comes Harry Connick Jr., okay? His name is Daniel in the movie, and he is a Virgo, September 11th, all right? 9/11 could be some sort of significance here, all right? 9/11 represents, if you know, you know, the towers, okay? So the snake, scorpionic energy, Jerry, all right, played by Gerard Butler, who was a Scorpio, that is a tower. I believe he was a karmic tower that was put in place to crumble this false narrative that she has, to heal these wounds so that she could actually open up to real love, all right? So Harry Connick Jr. is like a friend. He works at the bar. The mom likes him, like he's a little bit strange, like he's very socially awkward, and he says the wrong thing. But he's a good friend, and along this path or whatever. And her friends, as one of the letters, she goes back to Ireland, where his parents live, and she kind of goes through places that he loves, and he sort of takes her through, like, getting her back to that colorful girl that he met, with all that hope and optimism and curiosity and vigor for life. And so he takes her back through their journey, and like shows her some of the places he likes to go. And so there's a bar that they interacted with. A leather jacket could be significant, or something about a jacket could be of significance here, right? There's a song, I'll always be wearing your jacket. It's called I Still Wear Your Jacket. Oh, and it's a female artist. I'm like dropping the ball with music here. Music's so important to me, and I can't remember any of the artists or anything. But it's actually on this like playlist that I found that I've downloaded, and I can use it whenever I have been up in the mountains or in places where I don't have service. Then I have a couple downloaded albums or playlists, and this one is like a new moon twilight themed. Like, it's not from new moon, but it's like that kind of feel. So maybe you Washington or the West Coast could be important to you. Maybe the mountains or like isolation like that could be important to you, or confirmation for you. So they go back to Denise and Sharon, her best friends, go with her to Ireland, and they stay in a house, and he writes them letters, and they take her to this pub where they had this interaction, where they met for the second time randomly. It's kind of like fated or whatever. And he sings the Galway Girl. Her hair was black and her eyes are blue. Somebody's hair could be black and their eyes could be blue, either and or. That could be a very specific confirmation to somebody. That could be your mother. That could be your father. That could be this person. That could be, and not all karmic connections are going to be something that is because a lot of us have grown from interacting with like a false twin, and it was really treacherous. It put us into the dark night of the soul, and we had to really dig deep and do the work to get us to the place where we're on the divine frequency of receiving our twin. Now, our true twin. And our true twin matches us when we are on that divine frequency, okay? It's not necessarily a single body person, depending on what you believe, okay? So whatever you believe, just go with it. That's how your story's going to lay out, because that's why you believe that. So continue with your beliefs. Stay firm in your beliefs, okay? Also, Lisa Kudrow, when she's in Friends and she's talking to Ross, and she's like, you're going to tell me, like, this is where science has been wrong, and you're going to tell me that you can't admit that there's a teeny tiny possibility. And then Ross is like, okay, I'll admit there's a teeny tiny possibility. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe you just broke so easily. I didn't agree with you, but at least I respected you. That scene from Friends where she's like, she like calls him out. It's like, whatever your convictions are, stay convicted in them. That's why they're called convictions. I don't know if that's why they're called convictions. I just assume that's why. Whoever made up the word, that's why. So anyway, Lisa Kudrow's character and Gina Gershon's character, Denise and Sharon, they're in Ireland. They see this guy played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. His name is William, and he is April 22nd. So again, another Taurus, but it's an April Taurus. Like it's not really in the main month of that zodiac sign. So it's like the cusp, right? And we like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, okay? Because that's who she kind of ends up with, right? At the end of the movie, that's the like full circle. Now, the little surprise here is that because her friends are like, you need to get laid. Like it's been a while. You need to get laid. Like it's, and so they like wing woman her into getting with this William character. I mean, twist my arm, right? He's so handsome. Also, he's the dad in Supernatural, so there is like something there. You might like Supernatural. Sam and Dean Winchester. So maybe something about like hunting. So yeah, if you are vegan, right? Being here, if you are vegan, maybe you grew up like in a family of hunters or something, like that could be interesting. But they fight demons, right? So there's like a spiritual warfare aspect. Back to P.S. I love you. So they sleep together. It's very awkward. And then the next morning they're talking, and he was like, oh, you're Jerry's Holly. Because she talks about how she's going to see her not ex, but her late husband's family. And he's like, oh. And of course, like, it's like kind of a small town. Everybody knows everybody. And he's like, oh, you're Jerry's Holly. And they were bandmates. He and Jerry were bandmates, best friends. He actually says, we shared everything. And he's just very light and playful. And it's like not a big deal. He's like, Jerry wouldn't mind. We shared everything. So there could be an aspect here. Someone could be a widow or a widower. You may be getting with somebody's best friend. Like, you maybe met and it felt like divinely orchestrated that you met somebody, and then they could have been a karmic in some way. It could have been like a positive tower, right? Or it could have been a very dark night of the soul tower. Either way, it was like a karmic catalyst for you to be lined up with this other person. And you wouldn't have met this other person. Like, she wouldn't have ever, come to know or love William if she hadn't met Jerry, been married to him, gone through this process. He died. He set up these letters. Like, it all was lined up so that they could actually get together. So it could be like a somehow connected in the 3D to your person. I'm getting ringing in the right ear. So could be somehow, connected to your person. And you never would have met them if you hadn't met the other person, right? You get it, right? Fate. It's fated. Now that, I believe, that's her true twin flame. Now, some people could say, oh, Jerry was her twin flame and William's just a soulmate. In my convictions about twin flames, I don't believe that, because twin flame is a frequency. In the 1111 portal, the Four of Wands, that opening of that divine union, that opportunity, that window for divine union is a divine frequency, right? The Wheel of Fortune is a divine frequency. It's not about physical time, and it's not about the physical body, all right? It's about the frequency. So when you're on that frequency, that's when you can link up. She had to come to love herself. There's no way in my convictions that Jerry and Holly were twin flames. True twin flames, right? They were facets of the divine frequency, right? There were things that attracted them to it because it was orchestrated so that they could come into their true twin. But because, he was basically putting up with her being an ass to him, and she was being an ass to him, and they were not compatible. They didn't really want the same things. So I believe that facet had to die in the physical, death, scorpionic energy, and he's represented by a Scorpio. He is a Scorpio, the character, the actor. And so that's the other thing, is it's also like there's like an actor playing a character. So your actor, your true actor, is your true twin, and they play different characters. They move through different characters, from your parents to your best friends to other lovers, and they all line you up with their frequency. Okay, they're all orchestrating it, because on the divine frequency, we are the Emperor, the Empress, the Magician, the High Priestess. We are all of those major arcana encompassed, right? Okay, we're going to get into the cards. 26 minutes in. Harry Connick Jr., Daniel, they're friends, and she thinks, like, she's not interested. But they're friends, and he's very interested, but he doesn't really know why he's interested. I think he just likes her, but but towards the end, she gets a letter where he's like, I want you to move on. I want you to find love. P.S. I will always love you. And it's like his last letter. And then at that moment, Harry Connick Jr.'s character, Daniel, calls her. Daniel calls Holly, and they meet up in a skating rink. So there's something about ice, which kind of represents the winter. Maybe you skate, you ice skate. Maybe something about hockey, or like an arena. Someone could be really into sports, like arena sports. And then there could also be something about like Roman gods with the, not cathedrals, the Colosseum. Colosseum could be important. The theater could be important, right? Because you're actors. We are all actors, and all the world is stage. We're all playing characters. But behind the curtain, that's our truth, right? But they meet up in this arena, and it's empty or whatever, and something about a Zamboni. So on my first car, I drove a like 80 something Toyota Camry, and it was like a boxy little white character, had the best AC. It was kind of like not the coolest car. A lot of other kids were getting like Mustangs or whatever, but I worked for that car. Like, I worked for it. I rode my bike, McDonald's, my first job, and I worked there, and I got it. Like, I got that car, and it was just so empowering to have that. Well, I had from I used to go to Storm games, so I grew up in Florida, and there's Tampa Bay Storms, which is a college indoor football team, and there I got like a sticker at some point. Like I went down on the field for something, some kind of thing where we got to like put on something at halftime. Anyway, I got this sticker that said my other car is a Zamboni, and I put that on my Camry. So there could be something like that. Maybe something about bumper stickers. Stickers could be important, like Lisa Kudrow, Lisa Frank, right? So the name's Frank. Lisa could be important. Or maybe you just grew up in that era where like Lisa Frank, you like doodled on your binder. You doodled someone's name on your binder. All right. I think we're done with the channel messages for right now. Let's get into this. Okay, 1111 and death. Okay, are we just getting full-on confirmation here? Like, Four of Cups and the Four of Wands. Yeah, you could be feeling like, where's my love? Oh, okay, so they meet up in the arena. That's where I was finishing that thought. That's where I started the thought. And they kiss. Because she thinks maybe Jerry's like sending me a sign that I should get with Daniel. Because Daniel's been this like tried and true friend who's been there through the process. He helped me get rid of his stuff. But let's be real. Daniel's intentions were not truly, they weren't the purest. You know. And so you may have someone around you that's kind of like a friend, but it's not your person. So they kiss and they're like, oh, that's weird. It was like kissing my brother, you know. And he's not a bad guy. He's not really there to offer her anything of substance. I think he just wants her. You know, some people, they just want somebody. That doesn't make them bad, but it just means they're not right for you. But yes. So 2 of Wands, that's action. That's changing up the game too. Like this is an old world. See how it's bracketed to the wall? It's like they're at the top of some sort of building. I'm guessing like a tower. The watchtower. All along the watchtower. That song may be important to you. But yeah, so there's this like past life, this past one, this past cycle. Like maybe you were operating under this thinking this was like your source of power, your source of magic. Like this is where you got your power from. But see, it's like a construct. It's not going anywhere. Now this one is mobile. It's ready to move forward, and they're looking at a whole new world, whole new set of possibilities. And from here, this also reminds me of Romancing the Stone, where he jumps off that tower. Also the first night where he jumps off the tower, right? Which is the Fool. You jump off the tower to free yourself from crumbling with the tower. You have to get out of a sticky situation. Because if you get brought down with the tower, you're going to have all this rubble around you. If you jump free from it, yeah, you might break some bones, you might hurt yourself, but you can tuck and roll. Or hopefully land in the water, which is cups, which is love, right? And that's the risk you take when you leap off of a tower. When things are not working where you are and you leap into something new, it's unexpected. You don't know how it's going to turn out, but if you jump in faith, you will always be protected, okay? And they are jumping toward the 4 of Wands. It's like the universe, like, I said what I said. Damn it. So you could be a life path 4. 1111 could be something you see. You could be seeing numbers in series of 4s. But this is the magician energy, and this is where we alchemize truth from. So like whatever we were trying to alchemize from this fixed place was not working. You could also have a fixed placement that you were operating under, or some sort of like stubborn, rigid thinking pattern that was keeping you stuck. And the 2 of Wands, and then we have the 2 of Cups. So this is the union, right? They're coming together, and it's brand new. See this feminine is like, her eyebrows are kind of like, which reminds me of the Queen of Cups in the Rider-Waite deck. She always has like, her eyebrows look like she's looking at the cup, and it's all blocked off with the little sphinxes, like Never-Ending Story. It's like when you judge the character of a man, right, or of a warrior in the Never-Ending Story, that's what the Southern Oracle is, where they're like, and if you have any fear, they'll laser beam you out of there. So it's like you have to have confidence, you have to have courage, you have to trust yourself, and that's what taking a leap of faith is. And then we see the Lion here, which takes strength, and we have Leos all up in here. Leos are a common theme. And you could have like a Leo parent that is passed on, or a Leo partner that is passed on, or your person could be a Leo. There's something about Leos. You could have strong Leo placements, you or your person, or your past person, like the catalyst. We'll call them the karmic catalyst. Could have those elements. There's something about the root, because the red is the root chakra, which is all about elimination, right? Which is like, I was just thinking about this. It sounds funny now that I say, I was just thinking about poop. But there's no like cute way to say poop. Like any of the words that you use, it's like, So I like to say eliminate. And I like the word eliminate because it's freeing, and that's what we do from the root chakra. I mean, physically, that's where we eliminate from. And then we, that Saturn energy, Capricorn energy, it's all about that. That Saturn return tells us what we need to release, what we need to, it keeps coming back. It's not just like, oh, here it is again. It will keep coming back if we don't release it. And then we've got the snakes here, right? So there's two snakes. You both could have like strong scorpionic placements. Or, check your Pluto placement. That could be an influence here. But the masculine seems very sure they're coming in with the Two of Wands to pursue the feminine with the Four of Wands. And see, like, the masculine's like, here. This feminine's been holding onto this cup all by themselves, and the masculine's like, here, let me help you. They're not trying to take the cup. The Two of Cups is coming together. It's not going apart. So there's two is a common theme here. 2 + 2 = 4. 4 of Wands. Here we go. All right, let's see the feminine. Clear the fear. Yeah, the feminine deck feels a little sticky. Feels a little rigid. Okay, the world. The world is a common theme here because it's clarifying the Two of Wands with this world here. So there could be travel, physical distance involved. Clarify the Two of Cups. We have the Two of Cups. Yeah, this is a very like succinct thing here with the Four of Wands. Okay, with the Page of Swords and the Seven of Cups. Yes, I think the feminine is over here doing what they're doing. They're trying to, and like that's where you find love. Like she starts, in P.S. I Love You, she starts making shoes. She loves shoes. So this is like someone who's taking art classes, maybe taking like workout classes. Like they're getting involved. And you see usually like widows, elder widows or widowers that are like, but particularly, I mean, I used to teach water aerobics with an elderly community, and it was all women. And, some of them were in relationships, some of them were single, some of them were widows, and they were like taking their life back. Like there's a curiosity that comes in old age, or that comes after an ending. It's like you have the glow up, you move forward. And if you did have a dark night of the soul karmic connection, that karmic catalyst, you can always tell when there's a breakup. If there is like a toxic thing going on there, and maybe both parties are like, they were toxic. Usually the one that doesn't talk that much about it, and the one that has a glow up and self-develops and experiences growth, is the one who was not toxic. And the person who moves directly onto another connection, doesn't make any changes, continues in that cycle, is probably the toxic one. So it's like attracts like. So there are elements of toxicity in both of us that have to be accessed, and it's why we're coming into connection with these people, so that we can move through that. But you can tell the ones who break free from the cycle, and 8 is a number of cycles, so this is moving forward. Or wait, this is 7. But 8 of Cups is choosing yourself, right? It's not choosing another partner. It's not moving from one thing to another. It's the one who chooses themselves and does the work on themselves. There is Pisces energy here, again, with the moon and the fish. And I just saw the cutest earrings. I'm on the fence about getting them, just because I'm like, oh, like, do I need to have them, or can they just be cute? I might need to have them. We'll see. But they're 2 fish. So it's just like, and I'm in this Pisces energy because right now I'm doing a lot of third eye work. So that because I was doing heart chakra work, but I've already done my crown chakra tattoo and my throat chakra tattoo, obviously. And so I'm working on my third eye. And when you work on your, this is more feminine energy. This is more connected with source and the 5D. And then doing that lower chakra work. That's next. Okay. So, and you don't necessarily work with them in any kind of sequence, but this is like doing with the 7 here, 7 of Cups. It's like working through the 7 chakras. We have more than 7, but we're just focused on the 7 because let's just keep it simple. But doing those things where it's like you eliminate from the root, So this is like doing a cleanse. I often suggest this for people who are working on the third eye or in that Piscean energy or challenged by their intuition, their like blockages of the third eye. You may have some calcification of the pineal gland. You may have some like build up. And a lot of times it's hard to access this. So it's like if you're trying to work on one of the chakras, you may find like in a plumbing system, oh, the blockage isn't actually in the sink. It's in the drain over here. Oh, it's in the other bathroom or wherever. Or it's like in the shower. The shower is flooding, but the blockage isn't in the shower. It's actually in the sink that's connected to the shower. The crown chakra is connected to the third eye, and the third eye is connected to the root chakra. Like they're all connected, right? So there's something with that kind of work. The Page of Swords, it's like the masculine. Seems like they're watching. The Page of Swords is also somebody who's studying. So in the feminine energy, this is like a feminine that's studying themselves, that's also like resourcing, outsourcing information to help them through this process. But I do feel like the masculine is watching the feminine do this work. And they're like, yes. Yes. Somebody could have just asked a question right there, and your answer is yes. And that was 4111 on the time there. 9 of Swords, that's anxiety. King of Wands, and the Devil. So Capricorn energy, fire sign, masculine energy. The 9 of Swords, this is anxiety. Yeah, they're watching the feminine break free from this. Let's check with the Native American zodiac, or Native American zodiac. Native American, and maybe looking up your Native American zodiac, right? Because there's northern and southern hemisphere. I'm speaking from North America, so there are some differences. So whenever I reference a Native American zodiac, it is from the northern hemisphere. So if you live in the southern hemisphere, there may be some sort of difference in that. Yep. Okay, so we have the King of, not Wands, I was going to say King of Wands and Water at the same, or Water, I think, which is the King of Cups. And this is someone moving forward. And they're being guided, their guide here is this Native American man. Or this indigenous person. Like you could live somewhere where it's like you're really connected with indigenous peoples. All right, again, we've had this element of people in this collective being like a second or third, not third world. Maybe you live in a third world country, or you could have come from there. You could be like, your ancestors could have come from there. Generation, second or third generation. And then we've got this bird up here. So it's like you're being guided by nature around you, and maybe you've kind of forgotten that or tapped out of that. But once you tap back into that, the signs are everywhere. Okay, fools rush in. The signs are everywhere. You look lost, my friend. There are signs everywhere to help you on your way. Isabel or Bella could be important, and I did just reference Twilight. So yeah, Bella and that whole thing. So something in the Twilight movies. Okay, so strength, Leo energy. And I did just go, and this is 8, so it's August, but it could be some sort of, it's the cycle. It's a rebirth of a cycle. And the masculine is really watching this feminine, and it's like they're coming out of denial, self-denial, because it's like there's a river in Egypt. It's, denial or whatever. It ain't just a river in Egypt, that whole joke or whatever. But yeah, denial. I'm feeling like somebody's coming out of there, and it's so, they're finding their strength once they stop denying themselves. Her power came from the same place as denying her wounds. Wild with Reese Witherspoon. I believe she's an Aries. Don't quote me. Don't quote me on anything, because the Mandela effect is hot on my heels with these signs lately. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And your signs may change, right? Because we, as magicians, as divine alchemists, we have access to all of our planetary alignments, our houses, all of the zodiac signs, and not just the ones in our chart, right? If we have mutable placements, we have access to all the mutables energy, all the mutable signs. If we have water placements, we have access to all the water, etc., etc., etc. The king and I. So yeah, the king and I. With that king of cups, could be a Pisces, male Pisces, or masculine Pisces, because I'm getting the king and I, third eye. Also that movie Jodie Foster, and I don't know who plays the king, but it's like a musical. I mean, it's not just a movie, and I think there are multiple renditions of it, but etc., etc., etc. Like something about the language barrier. So you could be coming from a different place. You could speak different love languages. You could literally speak different languages, but there's some sort of like bringing together that communication, coming to terms, or coming to the same placement. And so, yeah, you may have like similar planetary placements or like celestial placements. I don't know why I said planetary and the celestial. I don't know why. Then we have the tower. All right. Which is 7. It's 16, which is 7. And again, that the tower led you to that 7 of Cups energy, particularly for the feminines. It really initiated this progress in the self. Stop denying yourself. And in Wild, she is also doing like a journey for her mother, right? Like she's doing it. And I just saw an orange cat could be significant here, but I was like 200 meters away from on this trail, and I saw a fox. Now, if you saw Wild, a fox is a major element, right? On my journey, I'm not walking the PCT, but again, the West Coast, that could be important to you. There's some sort of like, this whole life is a journey, right? The metaphor. But it's like you could be doing a literal journey to some sort of like making it physical so that you can transmute that healing process into the physical, because the 3D is the divine union, right? It brings the twin flames into the divine union. So by doing this work with your ancestors and for your ancestors that were unable to do the work or were limited for whatever reason, but yeah, in that she sees a fox, and that like represents her mother along this journey, and her mother has passed on. So there could be a parent that you've lost, a parent, or you've lost connection with a parent. You've maybe had to sever that or do cord cutting, and they're like energetically at rest. They're no longer in your life for whatever reason, whether that's literal or not. There's been some sort of death, and that has really influenced and is like the biggest catalyst in this incarnation for you to come into connection finally with your twin flame, right? Because if you know twin flame connections, there's a past life element. Like, we've been doing this for a long time. Can we just like get it together and come together? I forget what the Corn Maiden is, and I don't have the book, but it's 2. I don't know if that's 2 of Pentacles. I think there's the Juggler is the 2 of Pentacles in this one. Anyway, like corn, gold, and then the Chief of Blades, which is the King of Swords. So we've got the Page of Swords, but it's the King of Swords. So it's not just someone who's just watching out of curiosity and they're not going to do anything with it. This is someone who comes in with, and we've got, again, Winchester. We've got this rifle here, and that tells me this is like someone who's like a hunter. They've got that sort of like, but not like a creepy predator, but they've got that sort of like laser focus. And you think about like predatory birds, predatory animals, how they hunt. They have an incredible vision, right? And they are very focused. They're very focused on their prey. And we've got this, like, they're going to shoot their shot, and they're also going to like fire away. So there's a masculine fire energy here. Again, we have the King of Wands. So the King of Wands goes after what they want. All right. And then we have 12, the Sundance, which is not 13. It's 3. And see, this one has 2 of Pentacles here. And it's like a hanged man. So there's more Pisces energy as well. So someone could have like Leo and Pisces. Okay, so my biological father's name was Wolf, and Wolf is the Native American zodiac for Pisces. So there's some sort of element there. Also, my godfather, his name was Leo, but he was a Pisces, right? So there's like, there's something like, because somebody passes on or somebody's not in your life anymore for whatever reason, and under, whatever parameters or circumstances, your actual, like, people who are going to love you unconditionally are able to come in, and it's divinely orchestrated so that you are going to be supported and you can finally understand what love is. Because even though Jerry loved Holly and he like tried to do everything, and like at one point he grabs her and he's like, "What do you want?" Like she's spinning, and she's like, he's like, "Because if it's not me, you better tell me now." Like he's fighting so hard to get this woman to love him, and I feel like that deteriorated him. And the longer that you stay in connections like that, the inevitability is a death, right? Now, whether that's of the physical, and because you're not doing the work to, like, Jerry should have left her. Like he should have left her, but at the same time, for Holly, like he was there to be a catalyst for her. He didn't have any change catalyzed, and some of us are put here to catalyze change for others. And that's why, there's that saying, only the good die young, right? My mom used to say that to me because I was very worried about it. Growing up, I had a lot of anxiety around nighttime, and she would be like, "Don't worry, Nikki, only the good die young." And I was like, okay, cool. So I'll just keep being a hooligan and then I'll be good. I'll stay around forever. And, just saying that out loud, maybe that's part of the reason I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like so afraid of healing and so afraid of coming to peace. There are a lot of other reasons why, but that could have been part of the storyline that I was like, no, if I ever get to peace, if I ever get it figured out, if I ever heal myself and I'm a good person, and then that's it for me, And sometimes that's the case because it's like we've completed a cycle. So it's our time to move on. It's our time to ascend. All right, 52, 22. I'll pull just from this last Rider-Waite. See if we can have one more confirmation. I feel like there's a lot of confirmation here that's pretty much, so we've got like the Sun and the Hanged Man. So Leo and Pisces are major elements here. It's the third eye and strength. Strength is of the heart chakra. So again, I was trying to work on the heart chakra, and I discovered I still had blockages. So I was not able to, I was not unconditionally loving myself. I was still recycling some false narrative. And so that was blocking me from receiving authentic, unconditional love. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune, divine timing. So it's like, we need to just do the work on ourselves and find some sort of passion. And the Seven of Cups and the Queen of Cups. Okay, so yeah, that's basically, I said what I said. Conquering the fear, conquering the devils, conquering the inner narrative, the craftsman, so that you can alchemize from a true place. Because when you alchemize from a false place, which is cycling a false narrative, you'll just get more of the same. But we want different here. We want something we've never experienced before, which for many of us, all of us here, probably, unless you've got it all figured out and you've got your person, I don't really know why you would be sitting here listening to these messages. I think everyone here is like, where's my person? Your person is you first. I know. That's such an annoying bumper sticker statement. Eat, pray, love. Do you always speak in bumper sticker? I do speak in bumper sticker a lot because as a poet, I think it's just, I like to, and I just always had a fascination with like Shakespeare and haikus and how there's a simplicity to it. Like it's such a profound statement and it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't need to go on and on. It doesn't need to be long-winded. Even though I am long-winded, the divine doesn't have to be long-winded. The divine is actually quite simple. Go where you feel that it's loved, that there's love. You hear people like complain about their situation, or like ask questions about, well, what do they think? How do you feel? Because if you just answer that question, everything you need to know is right there. So hopefully there was something in here for you. I want to thank everybody for being here. Your energy, your likes, your shares, your subscriptions, your donations, all of that support is so appreciated, because it gets me to one of my first goals, which is 1,000 subscribers, because at that point I can do live readings, and then it's automatically going up. It doesn't have to upload. It doesn't take hours for it to upload. And it's more, it feels more like it's in person, which is my favorite. I love doing in-person readings. And I have done some on the road, but I'm not able to reach as many people. So there's a benefit to this, but it's also like, there's a little bit of a distance to it that I'm not crazy about. So I would like to get to the place where I'm able to truly give back and be able to give more frequent readings. And then we can get into, knock out the sign by signs, knock out the career readings. And the energy exchange is just more fluid at that point. So yes, thank you. And until next time, I wish you well.